Good morning. My name is Richard J. Zucor, and you find me and my son, Richard A. Zucor, here in the Galapagos Islands. We're actually at Safari Camp in the northern section of Santa Cruz in the jungle area. We've been living in a tent for the last 5 days. And the story I want to tell you is how we got here to Galapagos and what brought us here. Rich and I decided to take some time off and have an adventure trip. So we headed down to Ecuador and went from Albany, New York to Atlanta into Quito, Ecuador. There we spent a couple days recuperating from the flight. We went and toured the city of Quito and saw a bunch of churches that go back to the 15th, 16th century, and even saw the Virgin Mary who sits on top of a hill overlooking the whole city. This is in the Andes Mountains, about 10,000 feet elevation or more. Probably the most interesting thing that we did see in Quito was we were on the equator, the actual equator, where there's a 0-0 count for being on the equator for the latitude. And some really unbelievable, enigmatic things happen on the equator that are unbelievable because of the magnetic field and the no gravity. That was interesting. You could even be on the northern hemisphere or you could be on the southern hemisphere, deciding on what line of the equator you wanted to be. Also interesting is that in the 1800s, the French, late 1800s, the French actually found the spot that they called the equator. They came down to Ecuador to do this. But in 1975, some Americans came down, American soldiers, who had this GPS that was just invented with 20 different satellites, found out that the French were wrong and they were 700 feet away from the real equator. So Rich and I visited both spots and performed some very, very interesting scientific experiments at the equator.